Being here, and first of all, how are you both doing?
I'm doing better each day, slowly but surely, just healing physically and mentally.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm redoing this, hopefully with better audio this time, and with a fuller, I'll probably get flagged for it. I'm sure everyone has seen this at this point. So let's see what Ellen has to say. With Jesus Campos, who was the last person alleged to see the alleged shooter, Stephen Paddock, alive from the Las Vegas massacre at the Mandalay Bay.
I imagine that you relived that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how are you?
And who is this peculiar person next to Jesus Campos? We haven't heard too much about him. It looks like his name is Stephen. It's interesting that Ellen did not ask Jesus where he's been the past week. He's obviously been eating well, generally, and she didn't ask him either. I'm trying to see. He has all of his leg parts because they said he was shot in the leg. He was a very lucky man because there was 200 rounds to allege to come out after him, and he only got cut up with one bullet. So I wonder, which leg is it? You would think that there would be dressing on that leg that would be too bulky for these dress pants.
How are you doing, Stephen?
It's definitely hard. As each day passes, though, we're working to get over this.
Okay. So, Jesus, you're the security officer.
So we just are supposed to assume to know who Stephen is, right? And he's now the security officer. He actually he was demoted a bit from when it first came out.
And you were.
She's not going to say for who. She's not going to say a security officer for who, because that places liability. It places liability. And it's really unfair for me to freeze frame these things and then make any sort of judgments on what their facial expressions look like, because I make videos, and if I freeze myself at any given time, it's like, good God, am I possessed? So not picking on them for any of that sort of superficial shit, okay? This is about content. And this is being done to come to the truth, which we are not being told by the media or any investigators or the FBI. And it's just getting worse because more people are showing up dead every day after their cell phones and their laptops and their computers were wiped clean. Be putting plenty of notes in the description box for all of these things and to support what I'm saying.
Were called to check on a door that was, I guess when a door is left open for a certain amount of time, you're supposed to go check on it, right?
Yes, we get notifications, making sure that to secure them, or if they were already been secured, just making that check on the doors.
Okay, so you were going up the fire escape to get there?
Via the stairwell. I was coming from the 31st up to the 32nd.
Right.
When I approached the door, it didn't open, and it was blocked off, so I had to reroute.
Is that a normal thing that the door at the fire escape, or the stairwell would?
Okay, so he did go up the stairwell from the 31st floor. I missed that the first time because I was questioning why he didn't do that. Is this the same? Is this the same interview I watched?
Be blocked off?
No, they're always supposed to remain open.
Right.
And so after I would drop down and then came back through the hallway, and then I approached the room, got into the door,
Nice
There was a
pat on
metal
the back.
bracket holding the door in place.
Right. So what we're talking about here, just so everybody's clear. Okay. So this is where the hotel room was, where the shooter was. This is the stairway, and this door here was blocked. And you didn't know that till you came up through the elevator and went through this door and saw that there was something blocking that door. And when you saw that, did you think that's weird? Why would somebody put brackets on a door?
Yeah, that's just out of the ordinary. It's
That was
not
the
normal.
beginning.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you walk out of this, and this just.
You know, Ellen has been in this business for a long time, and she doesn't do any questions with him. She gives answers and then just says, right. That's all she did through the whole thing.
Slammed?
Well, when I was in between that area, I was calling security dispatch to get transferred to engineering. They didn't know anything about it, so they dispatched an engineer to go verify what that was.
That's when you got called.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is when Stephen, he's now the engineer for the Mandalay Bay, getting called at approximately 9:45, 10 p.m. at night on was it Saturday night, right? Let's see how long it takes him to respond. I want to hire him because he's pretty quick.
And at that time, I heard what I assumed it was drilling sounds. And I believed that they were in the area working somehow.
So you thought the drilling,
He's starting to beat up with
they were
this
gunshots, but you thought
perspiration.
it was just drilling sounds.
At first, I think it was just drilling sounds.
Right. So then at what
Drilling.
point did you get shot? What happens here?
As that door's closing,
So then this would indicate that at that point, when he called Stephen, that no shots had been being fired yet. Because we all know from the footage that we've seen that when the shots started, they were in succession and there were many and they were loud. So when he's doing all this little investigating up here, down here, around the hallway, in here, then he calls for Stephen. There are no shots that have been fired yet because there's nothing that he's heard. All he's saying he's heard is drilling. Now, was Mr. Paddock drilling the door shut? Was he drilling himself into the room? Because they said that there were tools there that was drilled shut. So was that last minute to-dos before the massive shooting starts? Well, let's listen.
and it's so heavy, it'll slam. I'm walking down this way, and I believe that's what caught the shooter's attention. As I was walking down, I heard rapid fire.
So this must be the very first firing. The first firing that is heard anywhere, because there's plenty of video footage that shows the firing. And it sounds really, really different, like it's in different locations. And there is actually very good video footage and analysis out there that supports this.
And at first, I took cover. I felt a burning sensation. I went to go lift my pant leg up, and I saw the blood. That's when I called it in on my radio that shots have.
I'd like, not to be nitpicky, I'd like to know, when he looked down, he kind of looked down in between both legs. Where in his leg was he hit that he was going to lift his pant leg up? Must have been lower half, I'm guessing. If you're going to lift your pant leg up, you're not going to lift it up to your thigh, right?
I've been fired, and I was gonna say that I was hit, but I got all over my cell phone just to clear that radio traffic for they can coordinate the rest of the call.
Yeah,
So-
so that right there, it seems very fake to me. Like what he just said, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Okay? Now, I've never been shot. Actually, in gun safety or in, I was getting my CCW casing went out and shot down my shirt from the guy who was next to me. That's a different story. I'm not going to get off task here. I'm so much more calmer giving this right today because it's been a minute and I've had a chance to kind of process. It's good too. It's good to like listen to something and then go back and revisit it after it's set in, then you got more information to see what you missed, because I miss things all the time. I see clearly in this one where he does say that he came up from the stairwell. Didn't catch that the first time either. You have to look at things more closely. Time passes, look at it again.
So he shot. You didn't even know he shot through this door, right?
Yeah, from behind the door. I didn't know how he was shooting.
Yeah.
But he shot out.
Right. So you didn't even know it was coming from here. So it's Stephen at this point. So you're called up. You just think that you're coming to look at a door that's been blocked in the far.
Yeah, he just thinks he's coming to look at a door that's been blocked, and he is on that like white on rice, because we know that he had Jesus had just called him. I mean, just called him. And that must have been, I mean, that's a big place. I wonder how many calls like that these guys get and what their typical response time is. I'm just wondering. What is the typical response time for a call like that?
Firewall, right?
Yeah, I didn't think anything out of the ordinary at the time. I came from a higher floor and came down a different hallway.
Okay, so
service
he didn't hear
elevator.
anything either.
And I walked out and I rounded the corner for the 100 hallway, and that's when it was quiet at this time, and the doors are set back, as you can see in that, about a foot. And Jesus was towards the end of the hallway, but I didn't know at that time, and I thought I saw someone pop out of the cubby.
Okay, so we would have to clarify this. So he hears nothing. There's sweat coming up here. Hears nothing. So apparently Jesus was not hit yet when he made the call to Stephen. Somewhere along the way, shots are fired, and he is hit, because obviously that hallway's not that big. It's for him to see someone hiding, for him to see someone. And we can go back and listen to the gunfire. You're not going to miss that if you're on the floor. So there's discrepancy right here in the story. Last time I checked, Ellen wasn't in any way, shape, or form part of the law. And when you have all these people that had to give up their devices and they have gag orders not to talk, but you have her running in the investigation right here on the television, does that not stink to high heaven? Yeah, it sure does.
I kept walking, and once I got more than halfway is when I saw Jesus, and I started to hear shooting.
Okay, so then so he's saying he sees Jesus now, then he hears shooting. So are we to think that he's not been shot yet? So he still hasn't been shot yet. Is that right, Stephen, engineer for Mandalay Bay?
And I thought, at the time I didn't know it was shooting, I thought it was a jackhammer. And as an engineer, I'm like, we're not working up here this late at night. We wouldn't be doing that.
Right.
And it was.
Yeah, so did he start hearing, when did he start hearing jackhammering? That's when he first started hearing the jackhammering, right? Right? That's when he first started hearing. Yeah, that's a fucking loud jackhammer.
I believe outside, it wasn't in the hallway yet. And that's when Jesus, he leaned out and he said, take cover, and yelled at me. And
he was right on that, because he was just getting shot and saying, take cover.
Within milliseconds, if he didn't say that, I would have got hit.
Because he was still shooting. So you would have been hit had he not told
Helen,
you.
thank you
it
for
wasn't
filling in
even
those
fully
blanks
cover,
for
and
us.
They were passing behind my head, and I could feel the pressure of the
You could
bullet.
feel the pressure going past you, just even being out of the way.
Yes.
And were guests coming out of the doorways?
There was a female that came out, and I told her to go back inside. It wasn't safe. Mm-hmm. Shortly after, that's when Stephen was approaching, and I told him to stay back and get cover. And that's when more rounds were dispersed.
Right.
See, now this here, let's just say this. How does this not make sense? Because remember, didn't he say that he, wait, let's listen. Didn't he say he made a call? But he didn't say he was hit, right? Didn't he call? See, this is, this is all screwed up. I'm going to be painful. Let's go back and just listen. Because didn't he say he made a call to someone else? And he wanted to clear the channel, didn't he?
At first, I took cover. I felt a burning sensation. I went to go lift my pant leg up, and I saw the blood. That's when I called it in on my radio that shots have been fired. And I was going to say that I was hit, but I got on over my cell phone just to clear that radio traffic for they can coordinate the rest of the call.
So he was hit. Here we go. Isn't that different than the story we just started? He was hit, right? Okay.
So he shot. You didn't even.
Oh, let's redirect that. So he was hit.
No, he shot through this door, right?
Yeah, from behind the door. I didn't know how he was shooting.
Yeah.
But he shot out.
Right. So you didn't even know it was coming. Well, right?
Yeah, I didn't think any.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So it's Stephen, at this point, so you're called up, you just think that you're coming to look at a door that's been blocked in the firewall, right?
Yeah, I didn't think anything.
So, Ellen backtracks and goes back to that and says then he's called up. That, you see where that's very inconsistent. I mean, right then and there. They're like sidestepping and back, flashing forward. I guess that's why you don't have a talk show host running an investigation.
At the time, I came from a higher floor and came down a different hallway, service elevator, and I walked out and I rounded
Ellen, why don't you show us where that service elevator is on that map?
the corner for the 100 hallway. And
Let's
that's
see the
when
proximity, Ellen,
you
for
know,
the
it was quiet at
service
this
elevator.
time, and the doors are set back, as you can see in that, about a foot. And Jesus was towards the end of the hallway, but I didn't know at that time, and I thought I saw someone like pop out of the cubby. And I kept walking, and once I got more than halfway is when I saw Jesus, and I started to hear shooting. And I thought, at the time I didn't know it was shooting. I thought it was a jackhammer, and as an engineer, I'm like, we're not working up
so
here
he's
this late at
making
night.
this. And you see what he's doing. He's talking about where he is in distance, as in to allude that he wouldn't possibly be able to hear what was going on until he approached, which is this complete horse shit.
We wouldn't be doing that.
Right.
And it was, I believe, outside. It wasn't in the hallway yet. And that's when Jesus, he leaned out and he said, take cover, and yelled at me. And within milliseconds, if he didn't say that, I would have got hit.
Because he was still shooting. So you would have been hit had he not told you.
Yeah, it wasn't even fully in cover, and they were passing behind my head, and I could feel the pressure of the
You could
bullet.
feel the pressure going past you, just even being out of the way.
Yes.
And were guests coming out of the doorways?
There was a female that came out, and I told her to go back inside. It wasn't safe. Mm-hmm. Shortly after, that's when Stephen was approaching.
Yeah. Here's Jesus. Here's Stephen, according to the scrap here. I like how they don't show where that service elevator is.
And I told him to stay back and get cover. And that's when more rounds were dispersed.
Right. Wow. So, and I mean, really, he saved your life. And he saved also the woman that came out of the door to...
And all of that was just so that Ellen could basically call him a hero now, right? And we're going to put this all behind us. Change it. This is the MK. This is MK Ultra 100. MK setting the stage and giving you the emotion that you're supposed to have. The first emotion I have is like, what the fuck? This doesn't fucking make sense. What the fuck? No, wait. Let's go back and let's go over this again. Okay, go ahead. Give him a tissue. Let him wipe his forehead, sweat off of it, whatever the fuck he needs to do. But let's go over it again because it doesn't make sense. No, but Ellen sets that MK Ultra 100 to tell them exactly how they're supposed to feel, what their emotion is supposed to be.
I know, first of all, thank you so much for being here. And I know that you've had so many people asking for you to tell the story and to talk about this.
I wonder, did that include the FBI? Because that's the only people or authorities. I'm not giving the FBI credit, but those are the authorities. Is there a report? Did he give a report? Is that public information? Can we get a FOIA on that?
And I understand your reluctance because you just want this to be over. So you're talking about it now, and then you're not going to talk about it again. And
that is fucking that's like the peak. That's like the peak of this whole fucking interview right there. You're talking about it now, and you're not going to talk about it again because it's so nice to have the ability to choose when you're part of the biggest massacre in modern history on American soil against Americans being assassinated, that you don't have to talk about it ever again. And he's, I hear, not in the country now, so it makes it easier for him to do that too, huh?
I don't blame you because why relive this over and over again? But it's helpful for people to
Ellen's so
understand
sweet.
what a hero you are, because you being shot in the leg saved so many people's lives. And instead of you just getting out of there, you saved Stephen's life, you saved that woman's life, and who knows how many.
She is like the judge, the jury, and the interpreter of all of it. She is very bright. She knows exactly what time it is, doesn't she? And she will tell all of us.
The other people, and so we just wanted to celebrate you. That's why you're here today.
This is a celebration.
We want to thank you for what you've done.
I
Even
thought we
after
were
this
fucking asking
happened,
questions. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm sorry, everybody. I didn't realize this was a fucking celebration. I thought it was supposed to be an interrogation or at least questioning. My bad.
instead of going to the hospital, you stayed to help the police and give them all the information they needed to piece these things together. And also, what else did you want to mention?
I just want to mention all the people that assisted that night, whether it was Metro, the FBI, the community especially coming together to help everyone in need.
This isn't a character assassination, by the way. This is just calling it the way it fucking is, okay?
The first responders, even the people that got called in to assist in the hospitals, and just everything puts pieces together on how.
What hospital did you go to, Jesus? Which one? Just, I mean, that's a general question. It's no fucking HIPAA violation to ask what damn hospital he went to.
Everyone came together to help that night, even in the darkest hour.
Yes, there were a lot of people that showed up to help. All right, and Stephen.
You know, the thing is, I'm don't want to judge him. Looking at him, he doesn't seem like some MI6 agent to me or anything like this. He doesn't. Doesn't even look like he has spent a day in the military. Now, this guy over here is handler, I mean, the engineer. Yeah. He looks like there's something just, I'd like to see his resume. I'd like to know how long Stephen has worked as an engineer for the Mandalay Bay. Would like to know that information. Are we allowed to get this information for you? I mean, Americans were fucking assassinated like, I don't know, like biological, kills that fall out of the fucking sky. It's another one.
Stephen?
Definitely, I want to thank the first responders and people on the ground at the show helping each other out. I mean, I think the acts of humanity were major that night, and I want to thank Jesus again.
Now, this is where I need to stop and say, when people call things out about events like this and others, and they use the terms false flag, please note, it does not mean that people did not get injured. It doesn't mean that people didn't die. It doesn't mean that it was all fake. What it means is that the story that is being fed, the propaganda that's being handed to you or shoved up your rectum, in this case, is a lie. It is a lie. The premise is a lie. The statements being made are false. They are leading, much like her questions, if you want to call them questions. Okay? In my personal opinion, after all is said and done, I absolutely believe that there were people that were injured. As a matter of fact, there were a local someone local in my town, who were shot, who were there in Vegas. No, I didn't go stick my fingers in any of their holes. Okay? And I understand. Believe me, I'm the first person to tell you I understand not believing anything. I do. There is video footage out there of people that are very sincere who are wounded. And now there are people showing up dead that you're not hearing anything about. And I plan on making another part after this one about who's been missing so far. And now I'm going to tell you right now, when I say they, I mean the people in charge, authorities, someone knows every single name of every single person that made any text message or had any sort of telecommunications activity probably within a 3-mile radius of this event, probably at least 48 hours before and 48 hours after this happened. They absolutely have the technology to do that, and I'm sure they have the information.
From my family and all my friends and everybody for saving my life.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's really, you did. I don't know if you're taking all that in, and I know, like you said, it's hard. You
No,
think
she's a
about
therapist.
that a
She
lot.
was an
and
investigator
You did.
just
You
a few
saved
moments
people's
ago.
lives.
Thank you.
And we, of course, wanted
Therapist.
to give you money. We wanted to, and you both were very, very specific. You said you don't want money. You don't want money at all. So you're not getting any money. All right. So we're not going to give you money. But Stephen, your favorite team is the Colts, and you've never been to a game, so the NFL is flying you to meet the team and get VIP tickets. So
Did we
you're gonna
talk
go see the
about,
Colts.
Ellen's, let's cheer for the Colts. This is a celebration. This is a celebration, yes, Ellen. It's not about the people that
and
are
then also, it's over
died.
here. Okay, also.
And the people that are now, traumatically fucked up because of this event. There's a lot of people that are going to have PTSD over this one.
Jesus, you're a fan of the Oakland Raiders.
But that's the point, isn't it? That's the social, that's like MK Ultra engineering, maybe 500, fuck people up so that it affects them emotionally enough to control their behaviors. That's what it's about.
Raiders, and Shutterfly is going to give you season tickets when the team goes to Las Vegas. You're going to be able to see them.
It's like a fucking circus.
Also,
Why don't you give them
we know it's
tickets
really
to the Barnum
important
and
for
Bailey?
you to that everyone is recognized. So Shutterfly cares about supporting communities. So it's going to make a donation of $25,000 in your name to the GoFundMe page that's dedicated to helping.
GoFundMe. That's interesting.
shooting.
I think they get. The GoFundMe gets a good chunk of that money too. Isn't it? It's like exchanging hands. We pay taxes. Everyone's
on how
fucking
you can
happy.
help the victims
So, yeah, that's it right there. Did they? I don't.
of Las Vegas shooting. Go to our website.
Yeah. Thank you, Alan, for letting me use your clip here in this educational broadcast and analysis for the citizens of the world to see that there are differing opinions on what you're claiming is, in fact, this event that transpired, as you put it out there, for everyone to see that Mr. Campos is just a hero. A hero. All right, that's about it. I've made this long enough. I hope this audio sounds better. I thank you for listening, and have a good night.